So hello, my name's Rob, this is Cattle Rabbit Scale Model Studios, and today I'm going to show you how to make D&D tiles out of things like scraps of foams and things like that. This is the bit I've got laying around. It's about 12mm thick. It's the same foam I always use. I'll leave a link in the description below if you wanted to get some for yourself. This was a community request over from Instagram, and yeah, it's really easy to do. So first off, I cut a 6x3 section of foam, and here I've got a steel ruler. Steel rulers are fantastic for D&D squares because 5 foot in D&D is 25mm, which is your average square these days. The end of this ruler here is also 25mm. All steel rulers tend to be the same. Get yourself one of these. They cost a couple of pounds from a local hardware store. They come in different lengths if you want to do bigger sections. This is a 12-inch ruler. I always have this. Here I've got a normal biro. This is, I don't even think this works. I've used this to carve into foam so many times now. It's got a nice rounded tip. So all we need to do is, with a straight line, we're going to run our biro just up like that. I'm going to make a couple of scores. I'm going to go forwards and backwards, and it's going to push all the foam down really, really nicely. What I'm now going to do is I'm going to measure the other side of the indentation we've just made, just so we've got some form of marking out. This is where problems can arise with D&D squares, is that if you make something exactly 75mm, when you've actually engraved your lines, you're actually one square will be slightly shorter. As you can see here, I've left my foam a little bit too long. It's an easy fix. I will just go back and trim it at the end so it matches the other side. But that's something to take into consideration. Normally for every 25mm, it's 26. Here I'm going to go and do my horizontal and vertical lines. As you can see, I'll come back in just 2 seconds once it's all done. So we're all nice and marked out now. We've got some nice, deep indentations. I'm going to go back through them all now and just make them a little bit more prominent. And I'm going to show you how to make these tiles look a little bit more fancy. So I've rounded the edges and things like that. Now here, using the same blunt pen, I'm just going to add some cracks and things like that into the tiles, just for a bit of visual interest. It's really easy to do, and this foam carves really nicely. I'm not going to do it on all of them, but I mean, if you wanted to go real fancy, you could engrave patterns. You could add little diamond shapes and things like that overlapping. The thing about this type of stuff is the possibilities are only limited by your own imagination, which is one thing I really like. I am going to let you all into a secret. I've never played D&D in my life. I did tried to be taught once, but it was all a bit much for me. Another good tip, I come in with a little hobby knife, and what I do is, to make these look like actual slabs, I carve away little corner sections. This will give the impression of, actual stones. So I'm just going to work my way round this little grid here, taking out little sections. Back in a sec. So I've taken off some chunks here and there. It's looking good. You could stop here. It's quite clean looking. It's a bit too clean looking for my like. So get yourself a ball of foil and just roll it all over the sections. This is going to add some real good rocky texture. You could do walls like this. You could do, all terrain like this, and it just gives such a natural effect. It's quite fun, actually. It's quite therapeutic, and it gives a great effect and is easy to do. So I've taken it away, I painted it, and that's what we've ended up with. This whole thing took me about 15 minutes to do this morning. It's really easy. A base coat of brown, a wash, some dry brushes, and that's it. If you like this, do consider subscribing, and I'll see you next time. Take care.